Hello students, welcome to this class. In today's lesson I will be talking to you about who and that clauses. Okay, how to make the verb agree with its subject when it is introduced by one of, and you have a who or that clause as a subject, or when it is introduced by the only one of. The note here tells you that when the who or the that clause is introduced by one of, you are going to use a plural verb. And when it is introduced by the only one of, you are going to use a singular verb. Okay, I have some examples here written on the board so that you can practice a little bit with me, and if you want you can take note of this rule. Alright, well let's get started. The first one says, Lisette is the only one of those girls who love to study. Okay? Lisette is, okay? This is the subject, this is the verb, okay? But now we have a who clause over here. And it is introduced by one of. The rule up here tells us that you have to use a plural verb when it is introduced by one of, okay? So let me go over it again. Lisette is one of those girls who love to study. So we use love, the plural form of the verb. We cannot say Lisette is one of those girls who loves to study, because this verb here is not focusing on Lisette. The verb is focusing on who. And since who is introduced by one of, we are supposed to use the plural form of the verb. Alright? So every time you see a who clause, note if it is introduced by one of or the only one of. Alright? The next one says, Jacob is the only one in the class that gets straight A's. We have our subject, Jacob, a singular verb for Jacob, and the only one in the class that. We have a that clause preceded by the only one. Okay? Maybe it doesn't say the only one of, but it says the only one in the class. So we have to use a singular verb because we are using the only one. Okay? So therefore we use gets and not get. Even if we are talking about the whole class, we are going to focus our attention on that, and that it is preceded by the only one. So the rule is to use a singular verb, gets. Okay? The next one, Monica is one of the employees. Alright, we have our subject, we have the verb of the subject, and one of. The employees who, we have a who clause preceded by one of. So, according to the rule, we have to use a plural verb. The employees who deserve a raise. Even if we are talking about Monica, we are not going to focus on Monica. This verb here is going to focus on who, and who focuses on one of. So we know that we must use a plural verb. And the third one and the last one says, David is the only one in the race that was left behind. Okay, we have David. We have the verb of this subject, is. The only one. We have the only one. Let me erase of here, because you could have the only one in, the only one of, okay? The only one in the race that was left behind. We have a that clause here. And we have a singular verb in past. We are not using were because we must use a singular verb because was is focusing on that, and that focuses on the only one. And the rule is to use a singular verb. Okay? Well, next I will move on to some more practice sentences so that you can keep practicing with me. Now you are going to help me fill in the blanks in each one of these two sentences with the correct form of the verbs in the parentheses. All right, let's begin. The first one says, Louis is one of those people who blank to talk about their lives. Okay, we have one of those people. So the rule up there says that we must use the verb in the plural form. So it's simple, like. If it said, Louis is the only one that likes to talk about his life, then you would have to use a singular verb or add the s. Okay? The next one says, Daniel is the only one of the firemen who blank twice before saving somebody. The verb we are going to use is think. And we have the only one of. So the rule here tells us that the verb must be a singular verb, okay? So, think. We are simply going to add an s. Thinks. Daniel is the only one of the firemen who thinks twice before saving somebody. Okay, so that is how you choose a singular or plural form of a verb when you have a who or a that clause that is introduced by one of or the only one of. Next, I am going to leave you some homework because remember that you need to practice as much as you can. For homework, you are going to write 4 sentences using who and that, and of course introduced by one of or the only one of. Okay, if you want to, you can write down this note so that you don't make a mistake when you are writing your sentence, and that way you will know if you have to use a plural or a singular verb. Okay? Well, leave your homework in the comment section below this video, along with any comment, suggestion, or question if you have one. Okay? Well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.